Let me introduce you to my new motorcycle, the Triumph Bonneville 865 from 2011, and with just under 12,000 miles on the clock, and it's fantastic. This Bonneville has a 360-degree parallel twin engine, and it produces around 67 brake horsepower and 51 foot-pounds of torque. But you see, this bike is not about the spec sheets. It's air-cooled, which is outdated by today's standards, nor does it have ABS or traction control. It's just an engine and two wheels. But this is what this bike is all about and why I love it. Back to simple biking, and this is why I think this is the best version of the Bonneville that will ever be made. A few years ago, when I was first starting to find my way back into two wheels, I wasn't really plugged into YouTube or social media at all. I just wanted to ride again. I bought a humble Honda CD200 to ease myself back into biking, but before long I realised I wasn't just relearning how to ride, I was trying to figure out what kind of biker I actually wanted to be. You see, when I first started riding years earlier, I knew absolutely nothing about motorcycles. So I did the sensible thing and I bought the same bike I'd done my test on, a white Yamaha XJ6. It wasn't a passionate choice, it was just the only reference point I had. From there I stuck to similar bikes, mostly naked machines. Part of that was preference, but if I'm honest, part of it was fear. You see, everyone kept telling me, you'll drop your first big bike, and the idea of dropping a fully fed bike terrified me. Ironically though, I never got the chance to drop that XJ6. Someone kindly relieved me of it without my consent, loading it into a van outside my London house share, never to be seen again. That theft marked the end of my biking for a while. Life took over in the way it tends to: kids, marriages, mortgages, all the usual adult milestones. But it was the house purchase that quietly reignited the spark. For the first time I had somewhere safe to park a bike overnight. No more street parking in London, no more constant worry, so the hunt began. Buying a CD200 made sense. Start small and build your confidence, take it slow. But this time things were different. Social media had exploded, and before I knew it, I'd fallen down the rabbit hole. Suddenly biking wasn't just about riding, it was about identity. Was I a sports bikes guy with all the gear and no idea? Or a sensible dad on a massive adventure bike? Or maybe a cruiser kind of rider? Well, none of it really clicked. Then almost by accident one day I stumbled across a very awkward YouTuber called Freddie Dobbs. His early videos were rough around the edges, but there was something about them, and about the bike he rode, the Triumph Bonneville 865. At the time, I didn't know there were different versions or generations. I just knew I loved the look, the simplicity, the style, and I wanted one. For a while I thought maybe I wanted to be like Freddie, but that didn't last long. It turns out Freddie is Freddie for a reason, and there's no copying that. So instead, I decided to do it my own way. And that brings me here, to my new 2011 Triumph Bonneville 865. I actually owned one years ago, bought purely because of Freddie's influence, but I sold it, and I immediately regretted it. Now in a strange full circle moment, I found myself back where I started, on another Bonneville 865, and this time a mag wheel version. Having owned other Bonnevilles, I genuinely believe this is the best modern Bonneville Triumph I've ever made. That's just my opinion, of course, but let me explain why. The Bonneville has come in many guises over the years, but somewhere along the way the modern versions have become a little, well, watered down. They've lost their charm that made the Bonneville what it was in the first place. Don't get me wrong, people still flock to Triumph showrooms to buy the latest T100 or T120, and they sell incredibly well for Triumph. But I can't help feeling that thanks to modern regulations imposed to us by Europe, the Bonneville is slowly becoming something else entirely. At this rate, it risks no longer being a Bonneville at all, just a modern naked bike dressed in tweed. See, my Bonneville runs the 865cc engine, which dates back to around 2005, and fuel injection was added in 2008. Now before anyone starts, don't even get me started on carbs. Trying to find a mechanic these days who actually knows what a carburetor is feels like a lost cause, so fuel injection just made sense. Not because it's more exciting, but because it's more practical, and more likely to keep the bike running long term without any drama. The Magwheel Bonneville marked a real shift away from tradition. Introduced in 2009, it was Triumph's attempt to offer something a little different. More of a roadster alternative to the classic wire-wheel T100. And it didn't pretend to be a perfect throwback, and that's exactly why I like it. So yes, I know it's a bold statement to say that this is the best modern Bonneville Triumph has made. Plenty of people will disagree, and if I'm honest, when I look at the other Bonneville models, I sometimes argue with myself too. But for me, it all comes down to simplicity, to what the Bonneville should be. I mean, in 2025 they added a USB port to the clocks of the Bonneville. A USB port. Don't even get me started on the YouTube videos I've seen pushing Apple CarPlay units mounted to the handlebars of a Triumph Bonneville or other modern classics. This is usually the point where everyone starts shouting at me that I have a phone mounted to my bars, and yes, that is true, but I also have the directional skills of a lost pigeon, and my phone is a lot smaller than strapping what looks like an iPad to your handlebars. I didn't buy this Bonneville for its vintage. I bought this Bonneville because it's a simpler bike, simpler to handle, simpler to modify, and simpler to live with, and that's what I want biking to be. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.